Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello, and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox, and I am excited to be here. We are, again, just starting Season 9, and we are in Week 2, and we are talking about awareness, which is Step 1. And tonight we're going to be focusing on perception versus truth, which I think is something that can kind of get us in a little bit of trouble sometimes. But I'm excited to be here tonight and have this conversation. Terry is going to be joining us a little bit later, so when she comes in, I will introduce her. But right now, let's introduce our guest coach tonight. Super excited to have her with us tonight. Just got to spend the weekend with her in Denver, so excited to have her on. Please welcome Yulin Lee.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's so fun that we were just together.
Yeah, that's right. What a weekend, right? We're still in this dot bubble.
Yeah.
Like I still certainly am.
Yeah, I definitely haven't recovered yet. But also, I just got back to California. So everybody else has probably been home for a couple of days. But yeah, Yulin and are all part of the same connection networking women's group called Polka Dot Powerhouse, and we just had our yearly convention in Denver, Colorado this weekend, and it was super exciting to get to see all of the Dot sisters, and Yulin and us were there, and we got to see each other, so super excited about that. So Yulin, why don't you share with the audience what you get to do and who it is you get to serve.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me on the show. So I am a money empowerment coach. So what that means is essentially I'm a financial coach for women and help women to build confidence around money. And then, ultimately it's about building a beautiful life. But to get there, we need to have intentions. We need to be strategic with how we are managing our money, and that's in the areas of how much money you're making, how much you're spending, and then what are you doing with the money that you have, in terms of investing. So that's what I do as a financial coach, is empowering women to really get a really good, solid handle on all of their finances and create the life that they want.
And that's so important when it comes to dealing with our fears, right? Getting the awareness around that so it's not so scary.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Terry Sayer is here now, so please welcome my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry?
Well, I'm doing great. I just have a little bit of jet lag, but other than that, I'm super. And so excited. Our guest with us.
Hi, Terry.
Yes.
Hi.
So we're going to be talking about awareness, as I said before, and perception versus truth. But first, Yulin, what is awareness to you? What does that mean to you?
Awareness is about our ability to observe ourselves. I think the context that you're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is really about self-awareness, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really about our ability to, observe ourselves objectively, and our ability to maybe pull ourselves out of any situations to say, hey, am I really looking at the situation objectively? And so the better and the more that we do that, then the more awareness we have with ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think that plays right into perception versus truth as well. Really getting clear, am I making this up or is it true? With your finances, being really clear, knowing your numbers, how much do you need or how much do you have or where can you cut back or all those kinds of things, right? Because I'm kind of a one that just, pretends it's not there. And so having a better awareness around that, knowing what is truth and what are our perceptions would be really important.
Right. And I think, in the area of money and finance, what you mentioned is very common for a lot of people, right? And particularly for women, in that many women, it feels scary and I'd rather not look at it. I'd rather have someone else deal with it. So that's, one form of, becoming aware of what our numbers are. But I think but before we get there, I think there's an even more important part of awareness and, perception topic, which is really around our own mindset around money, because I think that's even more important, but also less visible, right? Because when we're speaking about numbers, at the end of the day, if we really track it down, we can actually see what the numbers are. But in terms of our mindset, it's such an invisible thing. But at the same time, that is actually what controls most of our behaviors. And so I think this is the part where I would love to, dig a little deeper today to talk about, kind of the awareness around our mindset around money. And also around our behaviors.
Yeah, because our mindset is going to affect the numbers, right? It's going to affect everything else around us. Because what we think is what we do, right? Well, Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we think is what we do, but at the same time, though, I think there's a lot of that happens in the subconscious that is not necessarily what we think at the conscious level, but that's actually even the bigger force behind our behaviors.
Yeah. Terry, what thoughts are swimming through your head right now with everything that Yulin is sharing?
Yeah, no, I personally am involved in one group in particular where we're really looking at our mindset and our belief systems around money and how that affects us in our decision making when it comes to, how we manage, not just manage money, but how we go about having a relationship with money, and whether or not we have this mindset of there's not enough money, or we have a mindset that there's enough money for everyone. And it's that lack versus abundance. And we learn that from the time we're very young, what we're told in our families and the environments that we find ourselves. And it is subconscious. It's not that our parents meant to have us have this mindset of lack when they told us, well, we don't have enough money to buy that. You can't have that because we don't have enough money. We can't go to that store because we don't have enough money. We can't go out to eat because we don't have enough money. Just those things that our parents or our caregivers have told us about money create this mindset that we have around money. And it makes it difficult then to have the attitude or the mindset that, there's plenty of money in the world, and I can receive that money based upon my mindset because I believe that it's available to me, or I believe that it's not available to me and I have to work really, really hard to have any money, or money can flow to me because I have this mindset that there's abundance of money, and as I do my work, that money will flow to me and I will be led to find avenues to increase my income, and that if I have this idea of the flow and ebb of money being something positive, and that's my subconscious approach as well as my conscious approach, then it's a whole different game than thinking I have to work really, really hard and I probably won't have enough money. So there's a lot to that. In this group that I'm working with, we're really having a robust discussion about that whole arena of abundance versus lack.
Yeah. Yulin, you talked about going deep. I want to hear more about this.
Yeah, so I think, what Terry mentioned it's really good. I think, that's what, a lot of us, we all share that to a certain extent. And I would like to add to that. And, I think there are a lot of, if we really, expand on this topic, there are a lot of perceptions that we can probably, debate about or, challenge those perceptions. But maybe for our discussion today, I would like to share maybe the top three that I hear the most common, as a financial coach for women that I feel like constantly coming up. So the first perception is we sometimes equate the so-called smartness or formal education to financial success or making a sound financial decision. And what I mean by that is it often shows up in my conversations with people, and it usually happens when, if they feel like they've made a bad financial decision or, something bad happens. And when I listen to their self-talk, it's something like, well, I'm a smart person, I'm educated, and blah, blah, blah. And I think the subtext behind that is that it's a, kind of the subtle self-blame for, I'm a smart person, how could I have done this? Or how could I have let this happen to me? Or, I'm an educated person, I have a certain degree, and I should be making smart and sound financial decisions. But so that is their perception, and I actually really like to call that misconception, because the truth is that what drives our behavior around money has nothing to do with how smart you are or what kind of education you have. It is mostly driven by our psychology around money, our emotions around money, and when we make those decisions, and our relationship to money. And so that, that's like, the one thing that I actually recently have heard from quite a few people, having made some bad financial decisions, and they're, trying to get around, this whole thing, like, how could it happen to me, or how could I have let it happen? And the problem with that kind of thinking, or, the perception, is that it sends people, sends us down this spiral self-blaming game without really learning the real lesson from this experience. And so to really learn the lesson from this experience, we really need to step back and get to the root of it, and that is to get to know ourselves better. And to really dig in deeper into our money story, right? And so specifically, it would be, an example would be if you made a bad investment decision, if you've kind of lost the money, and so you're kind of in the self-blaming mode and say, how could I have let this happen? Instead of doing that, is to really check in with yourself and really be honest, bloody honest with yourself, and to say, hey, when I was making those decisions, when I was in those moments, what state was I in? Was I in the state of, feeling desperate because money is short, so I need to make some quick bucks, or, I feeling certain way, I really want to, have a huge return on my investment, whatever that may be. And again, only you, that person who's going through that experience, can answer for yourself that. And so that's why it's so crucial to be bloody honest with yourself, to say, was I making this decision from a place of desperation, that I really need a quick fix for something, and that's what I did. And so I think that's one way to kind of resolve this the situation if somebody's in that situation, and kind of debunk that perception that just because I'm a smart person or just because I'm a very well educated that we necessarily should be making all the right decisions, right? So
Yeah.
it really takes us out of our kind of self-blaming mode, and then to really try to learn a lesson from it.
That's great.
So that's the first, I would say, perception, right? And then the second one that I keep hearing is it too late? And the context is, and it's typically for, women in their 50s, and they're at a point where they're looking at their potential retirement because maybe they are physically getting more tired. They also may be emotionally, psychologically, mentally thinking, hey, now my kids are off to college. I've kind of almost done with the family thing. I really want to, live the rest of my life for myself. What's next for me? And then they look at their finances and they realize, I'm not really well set up to retire yet. And I don't really know whether I can, financially securely retire. And so they get into the state of, a little bit of panic mode. So they want to do something, but then there's the other voice in their head, and that is it too late now? I really wish I had done something earlier. So I hear that a lot. And then again, kind of the subtext of that, is it too late? I should have done something earlier. It puts us in this kind of, again, self-blaming. I should have, right? We're shooting ourselves. But the truth, we're talking about perception versus truth, right? The truth is, if you keep looking backwards, then and comparing yourself today to your 20-year-old, to yourself, or 30-year self, then it may feel like it's a little late, and but if you actually live in the present moment and with the goal, with your eye and your vision for going forward, then you will realize that if we live the average age of like 80 to 85, and if you're in your 50s, you have another 30 years to go. So if you look from that perspective, do you think it's too late? I would say no. And so again, it's about perception, and it's about perspective. Are you looking forward? Or are you looking backwards? And so the truth is, it's not too late. But then you really do need to start working now. Okay. So I would like to say, okay, so then what do we do about it? Right? What is the solution to that? Well, I would say focus on looking forward, focus on the future, and create a vision for what you really want your life to be from now on, right? And so you once you have a clear idea of what you want for your life, then take the baby steps to start now, rather than waiting for that perfect moment to start. Because this group of women that I'm mentioning right now who feel like they really want to do something about their finances, but then there's also, kind of doubting in their head, is it too late? And then when I look at their action, they're still procrastinating. They're still saying, I'm busy with these projects. Let me finish these and I'll, start working on my finances. That is another lie to themselves, because that perfect moment will never come, because it never exists, right? Until you actually prioritize it. There is no perfect moment for finance or whatever else, like you may be talking about. So, but if you prioritize it, you can start working on it right now. And it doesn't mean like you have to change your life completely to work on this, but it just means that you have to do something, a little at a time, whether it's per week or per month. Do a little bit at a time, and that's how you build the momentum. So that's another perception or fallacy that I hear very common is being too late for a lot of women in their 50s. And then the last one that I hear a lot is about investing is risky. I have met many women, and they tell me that, so far I've actually been pretty good with my money. Like I'm pretty frugal. I watch what I spend, and I'm a pretty good saver. But other than that, I don't really know what to do with my money. And some of them say, yeah, my financial manager or my financial advisor is managing my money for me, or I don't even, trust anybody. So I just have my money in my savings account or my CDs or whatever, because try to learn to invest in something just feels too risky, too scary. And that, again, is a misconception about, investing being too risky. The truth is, especially nowadays, the truth is if you keep your money in your savings account, that is the riskiest thing you can do for yourself, because inflations are going so high. And, when inflations are 8.3%, you're not getting 8.3% from your bank. So if you are just keeping money in cash or in your savings account, you are literally losing money every single year. And so that is another big, perception shift that we have to make in our head about whether investing is really risky or not. And I think people feel it's risky is because they don't understand it. They don't know it. And so when you don't know something, obviously it feels scarier and riskier, but that is really far from the truth. So those are the three that I thought I would share today. And like I said, there are many, but these are the three that I hear over and over again from many of both the clients or just people around me that I talk to about their finances.
What is something that, if our listeners are listening and they're one of these three women, what is like a baby step that they could take to support themselves in moving forward?
Yeah. So, I think the first two about feeling too late or self-blame, thinking about, how could I have let this happen or that happen? I think a lot of that psychology has to do with just not loving ourselves enough, not having enough compassion for ourselves in the area of money and finance. Like, we are very critical. And so part of it is remembering that most of us didn't grow up with a lot of financial education, but it doesn't mean that we can't start now. But to do that, we have to be really, really loving and kind to ourselves. So I do have a free tool that helps people to practice that loving kindness for themselves whenever they think about money and finance. And so I call it the 7 days of Love Yourself, Love Your Money experiment. And basically it's a 7 days, for the duration of 7 days, you'll get an email, one email reminder to practice one element of the loving yourself and loving your money experiment. So I think that is something that everyone can do, everyone that feels like they could need a little bit more loving kindness with themselves and with their money. That's something that everyone can use, and it's on it's on the site, and it's www.loveyourselfloveyourmoney.com, and that people can sign up for, and it's a free tool. And then as far as the third one about investing being risky, I do offer a free masterclass on a regular basis. And the next one coming up is on November 2nd, on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that's where I teach about, the basic elemental knowledge and skill sets around what is it like for becoming an investor? What are the core basic things you need to know? What are what are some of the vocabularies? What are some of the things that you need to think about as an investor? So that is coming up on November 2nd. And that's also a free class for anyone who's interested in just learning about investing in general.
Yeah, I love that. And please post about both of those in the Facebook group so that our listeners and followers can have easy one-click access to both of those. We would love that.
Yeah, sure. I certainly can do that.
Awesome. Well, we are almost out of time. It goes by so quickly. So, Yulin, what would be the number one thing you would want our listeners to walk away with tonight?
To remember that, when we talk about money, it's at the end of the day, it's not about money itself. For me, it's all about, it really comes down to self-love and self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
If we love ourselves enough, if we respect ourselves enough, then we will step up and take the time, make the effort to really work on our own finances, to start taking control of our finances, and rather than leaving it to somebody else or leaving it to chance.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you. Terry, what would be your number one thing?
Yeah, I really like the idea of wherever you are, that's where you are. That's not a perception, that's reality. You are where you are, so don't worry about what's happened up until that point. Live in the moment, and then move forward with these steps that have been shared with us this evening, and be in control. Know what you want, and know that you can accomplish that. If again, self-love is the whole crux of fearless living. It all begins with you. It all begins, with how you feel about yourself in order to really move forward in any moment. It's that self-love, self-respect. So I appreciate that. I think as the core.
Yeah.
Also then taking up, the things that Yulin has shared with us this evening.
Yeah. I love both of your points. I think that being aware of what our money story is and what created it, getting some awareness around that, loving those pieces of ourselves that hold that unworthiness or blockage of kindness or compassion towards ourselves, loving up on that part of ourselves, healing that part of ourselves so that we can take that energy, we can take that effort and put it into ourselves and really taking care of ourselves in every aspect of our lives, not just our health, but our money health, right? So, Yulin, thank you so much for being here. I feel like I've learned so much because money is definitely not something that I deal with. I deal with fear and understand definitely the fear around money. But I've learned so much just by listening to you tonight. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I want to remind you all that.
I was just going to say that I'm going to go and check your website and find out about these offerings that you've given our listeners. I think I'll be one of those listeners that takes you up on them.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Absolutely. We definitely take up the opportunities that our guests present to our listeners as well. We want to remind you that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. And if you would like to know more about the Fearless Living Institute, please go check it out at fearlessliving.org. Also, you can find everything Fearless Generations at fearlessgenerations.org. And we have a workshop coming up October 26th. It is a Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific to 6:30 Pacific, and it is complimentary. Our gift to you and anyone you would like to bring with you. So if you'd like to know more about that, go check it out on the website. It is called Step 1 of Change Your Life. So go get registered for that. We would love to see you there. And we appreciate you coming back each week and listening to what we have to share about moving past your fears and the awesome guest coaches that we bring on for your expansion and more tools and vocabulary to support you in living a more fearless life. So until next week, everybody, be fearless.
Good night.
Good night.
Morning people wake up for peace and quiet. McDonald's breakfast people, we wake up for the sweet rush of getting that warm, delicious breakfast right before it ends.
Be a McDonald's breakfast person with a sausage McMuffin with egg. Get 2 for just $6. And pair it with an any-size soft drink like a refreshing Coke for just $1.49. Order ahead in the app to save time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.